Be quiet. Oh, y'all probably heard me yelling. All right. Wi-Fi is freezing up on me. Will I have some music tonight? Well, good evening, good evening. Come on in. That's not exactly what I wanted. The Wi-Fi is freezing up on me this evening. So anyway, just go ahead and come on in. Good evening, Instagram. How are you? Hello, hello, hello. It's Thankful Thursday, y'all. Thankful Thursday. Let's get into it. Let's see what we're going to read tonight. Here we go. Okay, y'all got about 30 more seconds to come on in. I'm not going to prolong this. Got a lot to cover tonight in a short time. Oh, let me go ahead and make this public before I forget. That's one thing. When people are going live, remember to make it public so you can share it out, or other people can share it out. And that's the beauty of going live. You see everything happening in real time. And by nature, I love live. Recordings are cool, but I love live. Just because my background is journalism. And so I just love live broadcasts because it's so personal, it's so real, it's so authentic. But anyway, if this is your first time joining, my name is Coach Ronnie B, and I am the relationship and resiliency coach. And what that means is that I help people discover tools that they can use for their mind, body, and spirit so that they show up as their highest self every single day of their life, no matter what life brings to them. Because life is going to bring us some things, right? And so I have on this throwback t-shirt, DeSoto Journalism. Shout out to DeSoto High School, where I first got my teaching career started in journalism in high school. But anyway, enough about that. Volume 1 and Volume 2. Guys, we only have 2 more days after tonight on this Loving Him from A to Z series. And on tonight, I have a very serious topic that I'm discussing, and it's coming from the X chapter, and it's called X-Hale, and it's purposely spelled that way, X-Hale, and you'll understand why once I drop these gems on you. Because tonight is a very personal night where I actually share a story. I tell a story about what happened to me once upon a time and how I had to put myself in position in order to receive the beauty of a new relationship. So I have this very strong picture. I don't know if you can see that, Instagram. You see this picture? Okay. This woman, she's crying. She has mascara, but she's wearing a smile. And once upon a time, that used to be me. And I think probably it has been some of you where you're smiling through your pain. You're smiling, you're showing up and you're smiling through life. But anyhow, the chapter begins with a quote. I couldn't give up on me because God wouldn't give up on me. Plain and simple. I couldn't give up on me because God wouldn't give up on me. And so, I know this chapter may not apply to everyone, but if you find this useful for a friend or family member of yours, do share. If this does apply, please hear me out because I want you to have all the goodness of life that God has intended for you to have. So, here I will begin and take you on a journey through a situation I once experienced in my life. And let me go ahead and I want to make sure that I share this in particular with a group that may want to hear this. I forgot to send it to him. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, so here I would begin and I'm taking you on a journey through a situation, like I said, I once experienced in my life. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't cute. It wasn't where I ever imagined myself being. But because I did not exhale after my divorce, I plummeted to a very ugly and vulnerable place. Coach Ronnie B was in a very ugly place once upon a time, and I'm excuse me, I'm suffering with some nasal stuff. So if I sound nasally, that's why. But anyway, I'm gonna get through this. Shortly after I divorced, I found myself in a decline of quality men, which I entertained. I don't know if they were rebound men or I was just that clueless of how to date properly and what to look for. I had been off the market since 1998, and here in August of 2007, I was separated and then divorced by April 2009. I will release no names of culprits that I'm talking about, because there's always perspective, right? Hello, Coach Nia. So nice for you to join. This is going to be a very, very vulnerable discussion on tonight. But anyway, let's see. I will release no names that I contributed to that contribute to my demise as a woman, but I also am accountable for that as well. That I put myself in that place, and I take full responsibility now and define myself as the hurt, broken, and vulnerable woman that existed. Holding space with you. Thank you. Hey y'all. Hey Jaleisha, how you doing? Thank you for holding spaces, because you know this is a tough one. But somebody needs to hear this. An unhealed woman is open game. I was preyed upon. I reeked of anxiousness and loneliness. And those men were there to waste my time and suck me dry financially because I rolled out the welcome mat. Here you go. Come on. Just a big old sign on my forehead, right? I was foolishly determined to enter into a relationship that I would make work at all costs, but I ended up paying dearly. I paid dearly, y'all. You see, I hadn't exhaled over my ex-husband, and not that I loved him or wanted to be with him. It was the ideal of marriage. It was the brokenness. It was the hurt. It was the pain. It was the thing that I had to bury that I was not over yet, and I didn't allow myself enough time. I was still inflated with that life and that old routine. I was mortified that I had to move back to my hometown and answer the inquiries of why I had returned, but minus one family member. I was fearful that no one would ever want me because I had two small children, ages 2 and 6. I was traumatized by the end of a life and routine I had known. I was weakened spiritually, period, and trying to fill a larger crater in my life with anything and everyone but God. For 4 years, it was everything but peaches and cream. And the worst part of it all, y'all, my children were right behind me witnessing it all. Their minds probably couldn't even comprehend what their mama was going through, but boy, was I a hot mess. So you cannot put stuff in a bag that is already full and bursting out the seams. Let me clarify. If you have been in a previous courtship, previously engaged, previously in love, and had a wonderful relationship that went sour, but are now married, do yourself a favor. If you have not already, and exhale from your past. Cross out every negative memory so that you don't plaster it onto someone else and mold them into something of your past. Hey, Shantae, how you doing? And if you have children from a previous marriage, releasing your ex of hurtful memories may be harder to do because you have many reminders on two legs walking around. You constantly remember it, bring you back to the memory of a person that you were once with. If you, however, make the effort, this will make room in a new bag to create new memories. And even in those sweet and kind things that someone else has done for you may have stained your mind, meaning that it may have been romantic, exciting, spontaneous, perhaps drove you wild and climbing up a wall, but you must allow your new love to create moments of bliss for you two and without comparison. That is something hard. That is something hard to do. And I will ask you, sis, to do some soul searching right now and have a moment of truth. Are there any memories that you are holding on to because it was something that you enjoyed or really wowed you so much so that you still dream or even have nightmares about this ghost from relationships past? I will be the first to admit and say that I was guilty of that. And I used to have these nightmares that I used to tell my husband about. Because I was very transparent about him, so he knew what I was going through. And you see, I had to be forthcoming about the abuse I endured from a past relationship. And I am blessed that he understood and prayed for me because he not only respected my honesty, but wanted me to be in a better headspace, of course. So this is something hard for me to discuss, although I know through my story someone will be helped. But the first event of physical abuse occurred after leaving a network event with an extremely insecure boyfriend that I had at the time. And I was grabbed by the arm and shoved into the vehicle because he was upset that I stepped outside of the establishment that we were at to speak with my nephew that was picking up, an order of sushi downtown. He didn't know that was my nephew. I guess he thought it was some random guy that I was talking to. Anyway, so he said I embarrassed him in front of a very important person he may do business with, and out of nowhere, he slapped me cold in the face, y'all. He slapped me in the face. And I was trying to jump out of this moving vehicle when he sped up and drove into a dark neighborhood and pulled over to physically harm me some more, yanking me by my hair and squeezing his hand around my neck so I would stop screaming because I was screaming, right? I was operating out of the will of God and let a monster into my life post-separation and divorce. I also remember the feeling of never being able to do anything pleasing or right in his eye. I was with a bipolar narcissist that needed psychiatric help, to be honest with you. And everything that I did was wrong. And he did everything in his power to try to change me into something I was not. My manner of speech, how I dressed, even how I spoke, I couldn't do nothing right in his sight. And it wore my self-esteem down, y'all. It wore me down. And I remember sitting in a nightclub with him, and he became angry because I wasn't sitting close enough to him in proximity. I couldn't make eye contact with anyone. And if I looked at who was coming into the door, I was accused of making myself too available. So looking back, I can't believe I was ever with a man like that and allowed him to treat me with such disrespect. He used his height, muscular stature, and voice to instill fear and intimidate me, but I became strong. I was a walking billboard of resiliency, and no matter what, I proclaimed my comeback, my restoration, then becoming a better version of me no one had met yet. And I recall the very day I broke down after looking in the mirror at myself. I at that time I think I was probably, I'm so glad you survived through this and here to tell the story. Yes. So I was probably high and drunk with him at that time, because that is something that he liked to do and with company, and that wasn't my lifestyle. But I remember that a time I had strayed so far away from God with this man, but not far enough to see God's hand reaching out for me. And you see, when I looked into the mirror, I heard a voice speaking to me just so loud, just so clear. I still love you, daughter, and you are beautiful. I miss you, and I need you to walk out your purpose. I have greatness planned for your life, and I'm waiting here for you. And tears started rolling uncontrollably down my face, and I can still feel the warmth of the tears that poured off my face. Something broke within me that night, and the spell that had been cast upon me wouldn't work any longer. So every day I struggled back and forth trying to break away from this evil soul tie that I had got involved with. I couldn't give up on me because God wouldn't give up on me. And when I made my abrupt decision to not only leave him, but to leave the state and move miles away with only my little two-door convertible, my two kids, and clothes I could pack down, I finally exhaled. I had to turn away from this wickedness coming out of like a darkness and walk into the light, because that was such a dark period in my life that a lot of people don't know about, because they look at me now, Coach Ronnie B, all positive, all inspirational, all motivational. Got a gym to spare, always. But you see, I too needed to be healed. It's so important for you to heal. You have to heal. You have to release things, and you have to heal, because if not, you become so vulnerable and you attract things that don't serve you and that will break your behind down. I'm so serious, y'all. And what was so beautiful about, okay, so I was desperate for God at that time. And but that was accompanied with a full breakdown submission on my knees and making petition known that I no longer wanted to live a raggedy life. I said, I don't want to live a raggedy life anymore. I don't want to live no raggedy life. This is not about to be the end of my story. I was turning over the keys back over to the rightful owner. My God. I saw a rainbow shortly as I exited my hometown of Nebraska. I'm driving in my little convertible with my kids and my clothes packed. I left everything. I said, okay, I will come back. I will get everything out of my apartment, out of my place, and have that shipped, because right now my exodus is now. Everything was so set up for me when it was time for me to come here. It was just beautiful. Even from the school that they went to, I had a job starting the day of that was not gonna. The job was paying good, and everything was just set up. Like, come come back. And it was what I had been wanting to do anyway. I just had to be in a position mentally, my mindset, to make that move, because before I had been trying to make that move back and forth and I was unsuccessful every single time. But that's because my heart hadn't changed. But I'm gonna say this, and then I will digress, because I can't read this whole chapter to you. Again, I say, if you want the book, go and purchase it. It is in the description. The links are in the description. But perhaps your X-Hale was not as dramatic and intense as mine, but it still matters that you successfully did, or that you will exhale. I believe this was linked. A lot of this was also linked to my childhood trauma. If you don't handle childhood trauma, it will creep back up on you later on in life. So, sexual abuse that I endured at an early age. I had received counseling. My life would have, had I received counseling early on, I think my life would have been different. But that is neither here nor there, because I had to find my own way to mend all of those broken pieces and learn my own reasons as to why I became so susceptible to being in a relationship like that. On the other hand, for the great moments you might entertain and reminisce upon, it is wrong to protect it as your sacred mind space. You might even visit this secret space when you're with somebody else. Because the thing about those type of relationships, there are things that are so sweet about it, but there are things that are so bitter and ugly. And as I said, this chapter may or may not apply to you, but I have talked with several women that hold on to similar moments. And yes, it might be natural, but it becomes an unnatural and unproductive waste of time and thing to do, especially if you're, and I have to say this because a lot of women can't figure out why they keep attracting this same type of guy, this same type of man. The only thing that can break that, sis, is you honestly searching at, first of all, what method? First of all, where are you finding these critters? But number two, what are your boundaries looking like these days? What intentions, do you have for yourself? What type of vision do you have and won't budge or compromise, and especially compromise in a bad way that's going to fracture your freaking soul? I'll say that, fracture your soul, take away from you. You don't want minus, you want plus. You want plus. You don't want minus, you want plus. And so there are, my goodness, I'll just say this and I'll end this because I'm going all different separate. There's so much I want to discuss, but I don't have the time on this live. But some questions that I will ask you to reflect upon, and then we'll say this prayer together, and then we'll continue on with the next 2 days of this Loving Him from A to Z series. But I had to include this part of the journey because it wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always sprinkles and rainbows. It wasn't always smiles. There were some awful dark times that I had to go through the journey and finally end up seeing the light for myself. Because I want anybody that is listening right now, I want you all to experience love, even if just love for yourself, not even with anybody else. Love for yourself. Falling in love with yourself. If I was in love with myself, ain't no way that Buster could have came into my life. Cause now if somebody came like that, oh, what? What? Anyway, let me get to these questions. Number one, has there been a time where you, in your past relationship, or has there been a time where your past relationship has affected your present relationship? In what way, and what was the end result? Number two, have you confronted your issues from the past? If not, what is preventing you from doing so? Number three, do you believe that forgiveness is a two-way street, meaning you can forgive others, but you also have to forgive yourself? Number four, oh, my voice is raspy. Can you trace any parts that you played in the disillusion of your previous marriage or relationship that you can account for? Number five, moving forward with the future, what lessons did you learn that has helped you become a better partner? Number six, have you exhaled and regrouped, or do you need help? If not, if you haven't healed, I'd like to help you. And number seven, what steps did you take to exhale and let bygones be bygones? Because sometimes you're not going to get an apology. Sometimes people are not going to be accountable for the way that they treated you. And so then you need to just look, you need to be okay with that. And then just look at yourself and realize, okay, well, I played a part in that too, allowing it. All right. But anyway, let's go ahead and say this prayer, and then I'm going to let y'all go. Y'all pray for me. This weather is kicking my tail, hot and cold here in Texas. Dear Heavenly Father, you have done a marvelous thing, which is showing us what forgiveness can do. The laying down of your life illustrated such a wondrous love, and for that, I no longer have to carry the burden of sin and shame. Most importantly, I thank you for extending others forgiveness, because it releases me from the darkness and enslavement that attempted to consume me. I can't control others, but what I can do is control how I react and resolve transgressions made against me. This disillusion of a relationship hurts, God, but you are in the midst of my pain to comfort me. I never would have made it out of depression, anger, bitterness, or strife without you. Breathing in eternal life and exhaling the dead things of the past is why I give you glory. Whether intentional or unintentional, I will always forgive, because there is no purpose in carrying around something so heavy that you have already taken care of, and I believe you fight my battles. I don't have to seek revenge and crucify my flesh when I am provoked to retaliate. That will lead me into unproductive results. I invested in what is new and present before me. I will build on this marriage day and night, because I deserve to be in a happy, healthy relationship. In Jesus' name, amen. So if you enjoyed this, those boundaries are a big thing, Nia said. Coach Nia, yes, they are. You attract what you reflect. Yes, honey. You do. We do. So on tomorrow, we are on day Y. And after that, is day Z, chapter Z. 2 more days of this Loving Him from A to Z series. If you have not got one thing out of this book, from these lives, from everything that I've shared, then I would be shocked. That's what I say. I will be so shocked, because I really went through A to Z on this thing. But you have a good night. Tomorrow we're going to talk about yielding. Yielding, y'all see that yield sign? Ooh, what that means? We'll tune in tomorrow to find out. Good night, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And remember, all of these episodes will be uploaded to the new link. Y'all, I am being revamped. I am being look redone. So I'm so grateful for this new beginning that's coming. I told you I saw two red robins. Look, I don't know if they was cardinals or red robins. Look, I don't know my birds like that. They was just red, and it was two of them. And so y'all know what that means. That means new beginnings. That means um like new beginnings. There's another word that I can't spit off on my tongue right now, but also that could mean ancestors, people who have passed on in my family, coming to visit me. So look, either way, I'm here for it all.